Rimuru back 3,000 years as a fifth true dragon. By Elite X0. During the final battle against Feldway, Rimuru was inevitably sent to the end of time and space. After Feldway sent him there, Rimuru decided to find a way to go back the moment he woke up. However, chronosaltation had not only thrown Rimuru to the end of time and space, but it had also locked him out from returning to the world using space-time leap. It was as if his very existence was banned from the world, preventing his return. To make matters worse, Sile told him that his original timeline had already been destroyed, meaning he could never go back. After hearing that, Rimuru began to feel an overwhelming rush of emotions. Sadness, regret, and pain, every negative emotion you can think of hit him all at once, driving him to the brink of insanity. In the end, Sile managed to find a way to time travel to the past. However, the risk was incredibly high. It could completely destroy Rimuru's spiritual body if anything went wrong. Can Rimuru go back in time unharmed? And what will be the consequences of it? Chapter 18. The moon is beautiful, isn't it? The moon hung high in the star-studded sky, its silvery glow spilling over the hills like a soft, ethereal blanket. The night was tranquil, yet Chloe stood beneath the ancient oak tree, her heart pounding like a drum in the silence. The cool night air danced around her, carrying with it the scent of blooming flowers and fresh earth, but it wasn't the chill that sent shivers down her spine, it was the weight of anticipation pressing down on her chest. She smoothed down her dress, feeling the soft, silken fabric flow around her like a gentle stream. The dress was a beautiful, flowing design that captured an ethereal, floral-inspired aesthetic. It was a light, silken white adorned with intricate blue floral patterns that twirled gracefully along the lower hem and parts of the sleeves. The flowers were detailed with varying shades of blue, from soft pastels to deeper tones, evoking the delicate artistry of nature. The long sleeves bore subtle blue accents around the cuffs, tied neatly with thin, ribbon-like decorations, and every flutter of the fabric caught the moonlight, creating an almost magical effect. Chloe's hair fell around her shoulders in soft waves, with loose strands framing her face, making her look both graceful and determined. She had never felt more nervous in her life. The excitement mingled with fear that he wouldn't feel the same way she did. Would Rimuru see her as the strong woman she had become, or would he still view her as the child he had once taught? The thought made her heart ache. Her gaze wandered to the distant city lights below, twinkling like stars. They seemed so far away, like another world. She had imagined this moment so many times before, Rimuru standing before her, the two of them alone under the night sky, but now that it was real, the weight of what she was about to do bore down on her like a storm. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, but the fear remained, lurking in the pit of her stomach. What if he doesn't feel the same? What if he still sees me as just his student, just a girl who followed him through countless battles? The doubt gnawed at her, making her question everything. And then, she heard the soft crunch of footsteps approaching. Her breath caught in her throat as she turned, her heart thundering in her chest. Rimuru stepped into the clearing, the moonlight catching his platinum silver-violet hair, making it almost glow. He paused when he saw her, his eyes widening slightly, as if he hadn't expected her to look like this. For a moment, he just stared, and Chloe's heart skipped a beat. He was captivated. Rimuru had seen Chloe in countless situations, battle-hardened, blooded, determined. But this was different. The way the moonlight kissed her delicate features, the way her dress fluttered softly in the breeze, as if woven from the night itself, it took his breath away. She looked fragile, yet strong. Beautiful, yet fierce. His gaze lingered on the pendant hanging around her neck. The small dragon pendant she wore, purchased by him as a token of their bond, glinted faintly against her collarbone. In that moment, it wasn't just her appearance that captivated him, it was her presence, the quiet strength, the warmth that enveloped him every time they were together. It was the weight in her eyes, the vulnerability, the unspoken words, that left him speechless. "Chloe, you look." His voice was soft, almost a whisper, filled with genuine wonder. "Incredible." The words hung in the air, charged with unspoken feelings, but confusion flickered in his eyes as he added, "Why did you ask me to meet here?" Is something wrong? Chloe felt her heart pound even harder, her palms trembling as she clasped them together, gathering the courage she desperately needed. No, nothing's wrong, she managed to say, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside. I need to tell you something. Something I've wanted to say for a long time. Chloe forced herself to smile, though the effort made her heart ache. She wanted to speak, to tell him everything that had been festering inside her for so long, but now that he was here, standing in front of her, the words felt heavy, lodged in her throat. Her fingers twitched as she clasped them together, trying to hold on to the courage that had brought her here. Rimuru took a step closer, the gentle concern in his eyes deepening. You know you can tell me anything, right? His tone was light, but the softness in it only made Chloe's heart squeeze tighter. Can I really? She thought bitterly. She wanted to believe that, wanted to believe he'd understand her feelings, that he'd accept them, but the fear was still there, gnawing at her insides. What if he dismissed her again, like before? What if he didn't take her seriously, or worse, what if he rejected her? The thought of it made her throat tighten painfully. She had faced countless dangers, fought in battles where her life was on the line, but nothing compared to the fear she felt now, standing before him with her heart in her hands. Taking a shaky breath, Chloe pressed on, her voice barely above a whisper. I know I've said this before, and you didn't take me seriously then. But I can't keep it inside anymore. Rimuru's brows furrowed slightly, a flicker of confusion crossing his features, but he stayed silent, sensing that whatever she was about to say was important. Chloe felt her chest tighten, the emotions she had buried for so long clawing their way to the surface. Her hands trembled as she looked down, unable to meet his gaze. I've loved you for so long, Rimuru. Longer than I can even remember. The words hung in the air between them, heavy and raw. For a moment, everything seemed to stop. Rimuru stared at her, his mind struggling to process what she had just said. Love? The word echoed in his mind, a strange weight to it. Chloe had confessed before, many times in fact, but this was different. There was a depth to her voice, a desperation that made his heart pound in his chest. I've always loved you, Chloe continued, her voice trembling as the dam finally broke. Her emotions poured out of her, raw and unfiltered. From the moment we met, I knew. And every time I've tried to tell you, I was scared. Scared that you'd brush it off again, that you wouldn't see me the way I see you. I thought maybe you'd always see me as just your student. Her voice cracked at the last word, and Rimuru's heart clenched. Chloe's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she finally looked up at him, her emotions laid bare. But I'm not just that anymore. I've grown, Rimuru. I've changed. And I still love you. I've loved you through everything we've been through all the battles, the laughter, the quiet moments. I've held on to this feeling for so long, and it's tearing me apart. Without her realizing, a teardrop spilled down her cheeks, glistening in the moonlight as her vulnerability filled the space between them. I know it's selfish of me to put this on you. But I can't keep pretending that everything's fine, that I don't care as much as I do. You're everything to me, Rimuru. You always have been. Her words were a confession, a plea, a cry for understanding. Rimuru felt like the ground had been pulled from under him. His mind raced, replaying their memories, the moments they had shared, the laughter, the battles, the times she had looked at him with eyes full of trust and something more. He had always felt something for Chloe, a connection deeper than friendship. But love? Could it have been love all this time, and he just hadn't realized it? As Chloe stood before him, seeing tears in her eyes, Rimuru felt a knot form in his chest. She was scared that he didn't feel the same, scared that she would lose him again, scared that this confession would be the end. But even in her fear, she had been brave enough to tell him the truth. Brave enough to lay her heart bare, knowing he could break it. And in that moment, Rimuru realized something. Rimuru's heart raced in his chest as the weight of Chloe's words settled over him. The world seemed to shrink down to just the two of them, standing alone under the ancient oak, bathed in moonlight. Chloe's confession echoed in his mind, each word sinking deeper, filling him with emotions he hadn't fully acknowledged until this moment. For so long, he had been caught in the boundaries of their relationship, teacher and student, mentor and friend. He had always cared for her, deeply, but had pushed away any thoughts beyond that, dismissing them as improper or impossible. Yet, as he stood here now, looking into her tear-streaked eyes, he couldn't deny the truth that had always been there, lurking beneath the surface. Chloe's trembling voice broke through the silence. "I understand if you don't feel the same way." She hesitated, her fingers nervously twisting together. "I know I've always been that kid you taught, the student who followed you around like a shadow. I know it's probably impossible for you to see me any other way, but—" Her voice faltered, cracking under the weight of her fear. "But I had to tell you. I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with things the way they were." Rimuru's breath caught in his throat. Chloe had never sounded so vulnerable, so raw. Her usual strength and resolve had crumbled, leaving her exposed, afraid. She had faced battles without fear, fought alongside him with unwavering determination, but here, standing before him, confessing her heart, she was terrified. Terrified of being rejected. Of being left alone. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. Chloe, this brave, incredible woman, was scared of him not returning her feelings. She had been carrying this weight, this fear, all by herself. Rimuru took a step forward, his gaze softening as he reached out to her. "Chloe." His voice was barely more than a whisper, but it held all the warmth and care he had for her. "You're not just my student. You haven't been for a long time." Her eyes widened in surprise, her breath hitching in her throat. "What do you mean?" "I mean—" He paused, gathering his thoughts, trying to put into words the emotion swirling inside him. "I mean, you've always been more to me than that. I just didn't realize it until now." Chloe's heart skipped a beat. She stared at him, hope flickering in her chest, but doubt quickly followed. Was he saying this just to comfort her? Was he just trying to be kind, to spare her feelings? Rimuru took another step closer, closing the distance between them. His hand reached up, gently brushing a strand of her hair behind her ear. "I've been thinking about us, about you, for a while now. I guess I didn't want to admit it because I thought it wasn't fair to you. That maybe I was just holding on to that old image of you as my student. But you're not that kid anymore, Chloe. You've grown. You've become this amazing, strong woman. And somewhere along the way, I fell for you too." Chloe's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes filled with fresh tears, but this time, they were tears of disbelief, of relief. You mean that?" Rimuru smiled softly, his hand cupping her cheek, wiping away the stray tear that had fallen. "I mean it, Chloe. I just didn't see it at first. I kept telling myself it wasn't right, that I had to stay distant. But the truth is, every time I'm with you, I feel it. That connection, that pull. I can't deny it anymore." A sob escaped her lips, her heart swelling with emotion. All the fears, all the doubts she had carried for so long melted away in that moment. He felt the same. He really did. Her knees buckled slightly, the overwhelming rush of emotions almost too much to bear. Rimuru, noticing her falter, quickly wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. Chloe buried her face in his chest, her body trembling with the force of her emotions. His arms were strong, steady, holding her in place, anchoring her as she cried softly against him. "I'm sorry for making you wait," he murmured, his voice gentle, soothing. "I should have told you sooner." Chloe shook her head, her hands clutching his shirt tightly. "No, it's okay. I didn't want to force you. I was so scared you wouldn't feel the same way." "I know," Rimuru whispered, his hand gently stroking her back. "I'm sorry for making you go through that. But I'm here now, Chloe. And I'm not going anywhere." They stood like that for what felt like an eternity, wrapped in each other's arms, the night around them quiet and peaceful. The cool breeze swept over the hills, but neither of them felt the chill. They were warm, safe, and finally, after so long, together. After a while, Chloe pulled back slightly, looking up at him through tear-filled eyes. You really mean it? You love me. Rimuru's heart swelled with affection as he looked down at her, his thumb gently brushing away the last of her tears. Yes, Chloe. I love you. I think I always have. I was just too dense to realize it. A soft, emotional laugh escaped her lips, and she wiped at her eyes, smiling up at him with a mix of joy and disbelief. You really are an idiot sometimes. Rimuru chuckled, the sound light and carefree. Yeah, I guess I am. Chloe's smile widened, her heart feeling lighter than it had in years. And then, before she could overthink it, she reached up, pulling him down toward her. Their lips met in a soft, tentative kiss, both of them nervous, unsure. But as the kiss deepened, all of that melted away, leaving only the warmth, the love that had been building between them for so long. Rimuru's arms tightened around her, pulling her closer as their kiss became more intense, more passionate. Chloe's hands tangled in his hair, her heart pounding as she poured all of her emotions into that kiss, the love, the relief, the joy. Everything she had been holding back for so long, she gave to him in that moment. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, their foreheads rested against each other, both of them smiling, their hearts still racing. I love you, Rimuru, Chloe whispered, her voice soft but filled with so much emotion it made his heart ache. I love you too, he whispered back, his smile tender as he leaned in to kiss her again, this time softer, slower, savoring the moment. And under the moonlit sky, they stood together, wrapped in each other's arms, their hearts finally in sync. The weight of unspoken feelings lifted, replaced by the warmth of a love that had been waiting to be acknowledged. The night stretched on, but for them, time seemed to stand still. Nothing else mattered except for this moment, this love. After everything they had been through, all the battles, all the fears, they had finally found each other. And neither of them was letting go. Rimuru's POV. The moon hung high in the night sky, casting everything in a soft, silver light. I walked slowly toward the hills, trying to calm my thoughts, but my mind was a mess. Chloe had asked me to meet her here, just the two of us. I had no idea why, but something about it made my chest tighten in a way I hadn't felt before. When I got close enough, I saw her standing there, under the oak tree. She looked different. Her white dress flowed gently in the breeze, the blue floral patterns catching the light just right. I stopped in my tracks, my heart doing this weird thing where it skipped a beat. Why did she suddenly look so beautiful? I shook the thought away. Come on, Rimuru, this is Chloe. You've known her forever. But something was off tonight. There was a kind of tension in the air that I couldn't quite place, and it made me uneasy. Chloe, I called out, trying to sound casual. You look incredible. I wasn't even sure why I said it, but it felt right. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. That's when I knew something was bothering her. Chloe usually had this confident, playful energy, but now, she looked almost nervous. I frowned, stepping closer. What's going on? Why did you want to meet here? Is something wrong? No, she said, her voice quiet, but there was this tremor in it. Nothing's wrong. I need to tell you something. She paused, and I could see her hands trembling slightly as she clasped them together. Something I've wanted to say for a long time. My heart skipped again. This wasn't like her. Chloe never hesitated, never looked this vulnerable. I felt my stomach twist with worry. What could she possibly want to say that had her this shaken? She took a deep breath, and for a moment, I could see the battle she was fighting inside. Then, she looked at me, really looked at me, and her next words hit me like a punch to the gut. I've loved you for so long, Rimuru. Longer than I can even remember. I stood there, frozen, not sure if I had heard her right. Love? Chloe loved me? Sure, she'd confessed before, but I never took it seriously. I always thought it was just a kind of crush, you know? A leftover feeling from when I was her teacher. But now, the way she said it, it was different. There was something deeper there. Something I had been blind to. I've always loved you, she continued, her voice trembling with emotion. From the moment we met, I knew. And every time I tried to tell you, I was scared. Scared that you'd brush it off again, that you wouldn't see me the way I see you. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. Her words hit me so hard that my mind was spinning, trying to process it all. I had cared about Chloe for a long time. But love? Was that what this was? I had always told myself that what I felt for her was just a strong bond. She was my student once, and even though she wasn't anymore, it didn't seem right to think of her in any other way. But now, standing here, hearing her bare her heart like that, I wasn't so sure. Chloe looked down, her voice barely above a whisper now. I'm not just that anymore. I've grown, Rimuru. I've changed. And I still love you. I've held on to this feeling for so long, and it's tearing me apart. Something inside me twisted at her words. She had been holding on to this? All this time? And I hadn't even realized. I had been so caught up in my own thoughts, my own confusion about what we were, that I hadn't seen how deeply this was affecting her. I took a step forward, not really thinking, and gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. She flinched, looking up at me with wide eyes, and in that moment, something inside me shifted. Chloe, I said softly, my voice steadier than I felt. You're not just my student. You haven't been for a long time. Her eyes widened, and I could see the hope flicker there, mixed with disbelief. What do you mean? I mean. I paused, trying to gather my thoughts, my heart pounding like crazy. You've always been more to me than that. I just didn't realize it until now. I had to be honest with myself. I had been avoiding these feelings for so long, convincing myself that it wasn't right, that it wasn't fair to her. But now, standing here, looking at her, I couldn't deny it anymore. I've been thinking about us for a while, I admitted, my voice quieter now. I didn't want to admit it because I thought it wasn't fair to you. I thought I was just holding on to that old image of you as my student. But you're not that kid anymore, Chloe. You've grown into this incredible, strong woman. And somewhere along the way, I fell for you too. Chloe's breath hitched, her eyes filling with tears, but this time, they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of relief, maybe even joy. And I felt this weird warmth spread through my chest, seeing her like that. Before I could think twice, I stepped even closer, my hand cupping her cheek. I mean it, Chloe. I didn't see it before, but I can't ignore it anymore. Her knees buckled a little, and I instinctively wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close. She buried her face in my chest, her body trembling, and I held her tighter, feeling the connection between us, something that had been there all along, but that I had been too blind to see. I love you too, Chloe, I whispered, the words coming out naturally. I always have. I just didn't know it. And standing there, with the moonlight shining down on us, everything finally made sense. For the first time in a long while, I felt at peace. Chloe's warmth against me, the soft rhythm of her breathing calming my nerves, it was surreal. How had I been so blind? This girl, no, this woman, had always been by my side, fighting for me, protecting me, and yet I had kept her at a distance, afraid of what acknowledging these feelings would mean. She pulled back slightly, her tear-streaked face glowing in the moonlight. There was a softness in her gaze now, a kind of relief that made my heart swell. Chloe's lips parted, and I could feel her trembling, though this time it wasn't from fear or uncertainty. Rimuru, do you really mean it? She whispered, her voice shaky. I smiled at her, brushing my thumb gently along her cheek. I wouldn't say it if I didn't. My voice was soft, but the sincerity in my words seemed to melt away the last of her doubts. She blinked, a fresh wave of tears spilling over, but this time she was smiling, really smiling. Her hands came up to rest on my chest, tentative at first, But when I didn't pull away, she gripped my jacket tightly, almost as if to make sure this moment was real. For a while, neither of us said anything. We didn't need to. The night, the moon, and the quiet shared between us was enough. I let my forehead rest against hers, closing my eyes for a second, just savoring the closeness, the simplicity of being with her. "I'm sorry I made you wait so long," I muttered, breaking the silence. The weight of those years we'd spent dancing around each other pressed down on me. How long had she been carrying these feelings? And how long had I been ignoring them, out of fear or confusion? Chloe shook her head gently, pulling back enough to look at me. Her expression was soft, almost teasing. "You're such an idiot sometimes, Rimuru." Her tone wasn't harsh, though, just fond, like she was relieved the hardest part was over. "But I'm glad. I'm glad you finally understand." I laughed under my breath, feeling the tension drain from my body. "Yeah. I guess I am an idiot. But I won't be anymore. I promise." She smiled wider at that, her eyes twinkling like stars. There was something so pure, so genuine in her gaze that it made my chest ache, but in the best way possible. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't second-guessing myself. I wasn't wondering what this all meant or where we would go from here. It didn't matter. All that mattered was Chloe, standing here with me under the moonlight, her heart laid bare, and mine beating just as fiercely in return. She shifted slightly, and before I knew it, her arms slid around my neck, and she leaned in, pressing her lips to mine. It was sudden, without warning. My mind froze for a second. Wait, what? She kissed me. It was soft, warm, and everything I didn't expect, and yet my heart was racing. I hadn't seen it coming at all, and for a brief moment, I didn't know how to react. The shock shot through me, and I stood still, eyes wide, trying to process. But then it hit me. I relaxed into the kiss, my surprise fading as I kissed her back, more gently this time. And suddenly, the world seemed to quiet. Everything, the moon, the night, our past, it all disappeared. It was just Chloe and me, wrapped in this one perfect, unexpected moment. The warmth of her lips, the softness of her touch, it was like something had clicked into place, something that had been waiting for us to acknowledge it. When we finally pulled apart, I opened my eyes, breathless, and found her staring at me with the same wonder that made my heart race. Her cheeks were flushed, and I was pretty sure mine were too, but I didn't care. All I could do was smile, feeling lighter than I had in years. "I love you, Chloe," I said again, this time with even more certainty. "I don't know what the future holds for us, but I do know that." She grinned, her face lighting up in a way that made my chest skip a beat. "Then that's enough for me, Rimuru. That's all I've ever wanted." The wind picked up slightly, rustling the leaves of the oak tree above us, and as we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, I knew we'd finally found something we had both been missing. Something I hadn't even realized I needed until now. Maybe tomorrow we'd figure out the rest. Maybe we'd face new challenges, new battles, and new uncertainties. But tonight? Tonight, I just wanted to stay here with Chloe, under the moonlight, and savor the feeling of finally letting go. Finally letting myself love her? Chloe's POV. And standing there, with the moonlight shining down on us, everything finally made sense. For so long, I had held back, keeping my feelings locked away, afraid that if I confessed, it would change things between us. Rimuru had always been a constant in my life, my sensei, my protector, my everything. I had lost him too many times in different timelines to risk losing him again, not like this. But tonight, with his arms around me and his voice so soft, I could finally breathe. His words echoed in my mind, "I love you, Chloe." He said it so easily, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My heart was pounding in my chest, loud enough that I wondered if he could hear it too. The warmth of his hand against my cheek grounded me, but my emotions were spiraling. Was this really happening? Was he finally seeing me, not just as his student, but as a woman? "Rimuru, do you really mean it?" My voice was barely a whisper, my throat tight. I needed to hear it again, to be sure I wasn't dreaming. His eyes softened, and the way he looked at me. I had never seen him look at anyone like that before. I wouldn't say it if I didn't. The sincerity in his voice made my heart ache in the most beautiful way. I clung to his jacket, afraid that if I let go, this moment would slip through my fingers. Tears filled my eyes, but for the first time, they weren't from sadness or fear. I was overwhelmed, relieved. After so many loops, after all the waiting, I had finally heard the words I thought I would never hear. I didn't know how long we stood there, holding onto each other like we were afraid the world would break us apart. I didn't care. In this moment, nothing else mattered. I was with him, and he was with me. His forehead rested against mine, and I closed my eyes, savoring the feeling of his closeness. His presence was comforting, but also exhilarating. He wasn't pushing me away. He wasn't running. He was right here, and for the first time, I felt like I could let go of all the fear, all the doubts. "I'm sorry I made you wait so long," he muttered. I shook my head, feeling the familiar warmth spread through my chest. "You're such an idiot sometimes, Rimuru." My voice came out teasing, but I didn't mean it harshly. I wasn't angry, just relieved. "But I'm glad. I'm glad you finally understand." His laugh was soft, and it sent a ripple of joy through me. I had waited for this, for him, for so long, and now that it was happening, I didn't want it to end. But something inside me stirred, something more. Maybe it was the intensity of the moment, maybe it was the years of pent-up emotions finally breaking free, but before I knew it, I leaned in and kissed him. I didn't think. I didn't hesitate. My body moved on its own, driven by all the feelings I had held inside for so long. His lips were warm, soft, everything I imagined they would be. And for a brief, terrifying second, I worried that I had gone too far. But when I pulled back, I saw the shock in his eyes, his wide-eyed, almost frozen expression, and I couldn't help but smile a little. Rimuru, the most powerful being in the world, shocked because I kissed him. It was cute, almost funny, and for a moment, I thought I might laugh. Then, just as suddenly as the shock had come, it melted away, and his expression softened. He leaned into the kiss, gently, and I felt his lips move against mine. My heart soared, and the world around us seemed to disappear. It was just the two of us, lost in this quiet, perfect moment under the moonlight. When we finally pulled apart, I opened my eyes slowly, still feeling the warmth of his lips on mine. He was staring at me with the same wonder I felt, like he had just discovered something precious, something he hadn't realized was right in front of him all this time. "I love you, Chloe," he said again, and this time, there was no doubt, no hesitation. His voice was steady, sure, and the way he looked at me, it made my heart race all over again. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I do know that. Those words, the way he said them, made me want to cry all over again. I had waited so long to hear them, to feel them, and now they were finally mine. I grinned, feeling lighter than I had in years, my heart overflowing with joy. "Then that's enough for me, Rimuru. That's all I've ever wanted." And it was true. It was all I had ever wanted. The future didn't scare me anymore. As long as I had him by my side, nothing else mattered. The wind whispered around us, rustling the leaves of the oak tree, but I barely noticed. All I could feel was Rimuru's arms around me, holding me close, keeping me safe. I rested my head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt truly content. We didn't need to say anything more. The night, the moonlight, and the warmth between us said it all. Chapter 19, The Storm Dragon. Third-person POV. Upon Mikami Satoru's death on Earth. Tomura glanced at his watch, a habit he hadn't shaken since his office days. 3 years. It had been 3 years since Senpai, Satoru Mikami, had passed. The thought still weighed heavily on him, a subtle ache in the corner of his mind, like a ghost that lingered in quiet moments. He looked at Miho, his wife, who walked beside him, her hand brushing against his. She noticed his somber expression and gave him a small smile. "It's been 3 years, hasn't it?" Tomoe muttered, his voice tinged with regret. "I know, dear," Miho replied softly. Tomoe sighed, running a hand through his hair. I just wish he were still here, you know? He would have been the best man at our wedding. He deserved to see us happy together." Miho placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "He would have been proud of you, Tomoe. And of us." They were in the middle of a crowded mall, the lively hum of shoppers around them a stark contrast to Tomoe's melancholic mood. The festive decorations overhead and the faint holiday music playing in the background felt strangely hollow to him. But then, the world shifted. A sound, sharp and deafening, shattered the air. A loud bang echoed. Tomoe froze. His eyes darted around, searching for the source of the noise. 2 more loud bangs followed. The floor beneath them trembled violently. "What the hell?" Tomoe barely got the words out before the building shook, a sickening groan of metal and concrete reverberating through the space. "Miho," he yelled, instinctively grabbing her and pulling her close. The panic in the mall was immediate. People screamed and scattered in all directions. The ground quaked again, this time more violently, sending shoppers stumbling. Tomoe shielded Miho with his body, his instincts screaming at him to protect her at all costs. The ceiling above cracked, bits of plaster and metal raining down. The air was thick with dust, making it hard to breathe. "Tomoe, what's happening?" Miho's voice trembled with fear. He didn't answer. He couldn't. His mind was racing. A third explosion ripped through the mall, closer this time. The blast sent a shockwave that knocked them off their feet. Tomoe cried out as he hit the ground, his arms still wrapped around Miho. He gritted his teeth, his ears ringing from the force of the explosion. The world was chaos. Flames erupted from the wreckage, their heat searing. Smoke filled the air, thick and choking, obscuring everything around them. Tomoe's heart pounded in his chest as he pulled Miho closer, his body trembling. This can't be happening. Not here. Not now. The thought was fleeting as another explosion tore through the building. The blast was too close, and Tomoe felt himself lifted off the ground. The impact was brutal. He hit the rubble hard, his body screaming in pain. His head spun, his ears ringing, and the taste of blood filled his mouth. Gasping, he tried to move, but his limbs felt like lead. "Miho," he croaked, his voice hoarse. Through the haze of dust and debris, he saw her. She was lying a few feet away, unmoving. No. "Miho!" He clawed at the ground, dragging himself toward her. Every inch was agony, but he didn't care. His vision blurred as tears filled his eyes, but he could still see her still form. Come on, wake up," he rasped, reaching out to touch her. Her face was pale, her eyes half open and unfocused. There was no warmth, no spark. No, Tomoe whispered, his voice breaking. The realization hit him like a second explosion, shattering what little strength he had left. Miho was gone. His body shook as a choked sob escaped him. Damn it all. He slammed his fist into the ground, ignoring the searing pain in his side. It was only then that he noticed the iron rod embedded in his stomach, the blood pooling beneath him. The world felt distant, the sounds of chaos around him fading into a dull roar. His vision began to darken at the edges, his body growing colder with each passing second. I can't do this without her. The pain was unbearable, a fiery agony that radiated from his wound. His breaths came in short, shallow gasps as his strength ebbed away. I'm gonna follow you, senpai. Miho. Tomoe's thoughts were a broken echo in his fading consciousness, his body trembling under the weight of his injuries. Blood pooled beneath him, its warmth a cruel reminder of the life that was slipping away. Damn, this hurts, he thought, gritting his teeth as waves of agony pulsed through him. Then, amidst the agony and despair, a voice echoed inside his mind. Processing. Pain nullification acquired. The pain dulled abruptly, like a switch had been flipped, but Tomura barely registered it. His mind was a storm of confusion and despair. The sharp, stabbing ache in his side transformed into an unbearable heat, spreading outward like wildfire. It's so hot, it feels like my side's on fire. Processing. Heat resistance acquired. The searing heat faded to nothing, replaced by an unnatural cold that sank into his bones. His fingers trembled as the chill crept upward, numbing his limbs. I'm losing too much blood. Processing. Physical attack resistance acquired. Tomura's body felt heavier, the cold more suffocating. His breath came in short, shallow gasps as he stared blankly at the chaos around him. The once vibrant mall was reduced to a smoldering ruin, and Miho's lifeless form lay only a few feet away, unreachable. It's freezing. I'm so cold. Processing. Cold resistance acquired. Combining cold resistance and heat resistance. Thermal fluctuation resistance acquired. A strange equilibrium settled over him, his body neither burning nor freezing, but the numbness did nothing to ease the growing despair clawing at his heart. His mind drifted, slipping between clarity and delirium as his memories surfaced. I always wanted to be like Senpai. A faint, bitter smile tugged at his lips. He was a proper gentleman and a sage, always calm, always knowing what to do, and here I am, dying in the dirt. Some legacy I've got. Confirmed, extra skill sage acquired. The disembodied voice echoed in his mind, distant yet undeniable. For a moment, Tomura's fading awareness sharpened, his brows furrowing in disbelief. What is this? Am I hallucinating? A strangled laugh escaped his lips, hoarse and bitter. Damn you, don't mock me on my deathbed. Goddamn it, I swear, don't screw with me. I'll hunt you down like a predator. Processing. Unique skill predator acquired. The irony wasn't lost on him, and the tears that spilled down his face weren't just from the physical pain, they were the manifestation of a far deeper anguish. A crushing weight of bitterness and guilt settled over him, suffocating and inescapable, as though the universe itself had conspired to make him a witness to his own failures. Tomura's gaze locked onto Miho again, her lifeless form just out of reach. Her delicate features, once so full of warmth and love, were now frozen in an expression that tore at his soul. Her pale skin, the slight parting of her lips, and the stillness in her eyes, they were an image burned into his consciousness, searing itself into his very being. No. No, this can't be real. His thoughts quaked under the weight of denial. If only I'd been stronger, faster, if only I'd been smarter. He bit down on his lip until it bled, the sharp taste of iron grounding him in the torment of reality. I could have protected her. I could have kept my promise to Senpai. I should have kept it. His breath hitched, each exhale coming shorter and more ragged than the last. His chest rose and fell weakly, his body trembling as his tears blurred the edges of his vision. The world around him seemed to blur as his mind spiraled, trapped in a vortex of regrets and broken dreams. I just wanted her to be happy. His thoughts cracked under the strain of his despair. To live a life where we could laugh together, to grow old together. Is this some cruel joke? Is this fate's twisted sense of humor? His jaw clenched, his trembling hand clawing at the rubble beneath him. Screw fate. Screw all of this. Damn it, Miho. I wanted to be with you. The oppressive weight of his failure grew heavier, a suffocating force that dragged him further into despair. The world around him dimmed, his senses slipping away one by one until all that remained was the echo of his unfulfilled wish, reverberating in the void. Then, it came. Processing. Granting response system from the voice of the world. Synchronizing with Sage. Initialization complete. A sudden pulse of warmth surged within him, not from his broken body, but from somewhere deeper, more profound. It wasn't the heat of the flames that surrounded him or the warmth of life rekindled, it was a force, undeniable and absolute, that began to fill the gaping emptiness within him. What is this? Tomoe's consciousness flickered, caught between his despair and this unexpected presence. The voice was distant yet resonant, cutting through the haze of his mind with eerie clarity. Extra skill fate acquired. The words hung in the air, an impossibility that jolted his fraying thoughts. He didn't have the strength to understand, but the warmth in his chest expanded, spreading through his being. The despair gripping him faltered, a small crack forming in the armor of his grief. As the warmth continued to grow, he felt the threads of something else interweaving within him. A spark of clarity, a faint glimmer of insight, began to take shape, a realization that this force wasn't random. It was a chance, a lifeline cast into the abyss. Confirmed, extra skill fate merging with extra skill sage. Unique skill great sage acquired. The voice grew stronger, more authoritative, as if it had been waiting for this moment. The merging of the two powers felt like a storm within him, chaotic yet purposeful. The newfound energy surged, stabilizing his fragmented thoughts and pulling him back from the brink of oblivion. Fate. Sage. Together? What does it mean? The question barely formed before he felt the answer, not through words, but as an innate understanding. The combination of fate and sage wasn't just an evolution, it was a unification of potential, insight, and purpose. Where sage offered boundless wisdom and clarity, fate provided the resolve to defy the cruel hand of destiny. I can't let it end like this. He felt the warmth of his own blood pooling beneath him, seeping through the cracks in the shattered ground. The cold was creeping in again, his senses beginning to dull as his life drained away with every shallow breath. I'm losing too much blood, he whispered hoarsely, his voice barely audible over the faint crackle of distant fires. As his vision blurred, a voice resonated in the depths of his fading consciousness. Processing. Reincarnation will occur in a bloodless body. The words echoed like the tolling of a distant bell, signaling the end of his suffering and the start of something else. Tomoe felt his consciousness slipping away, but this time it wasn't the suffocating grip of death, it was a release, a transition into something greater. As his body grew weightless, his mind clung to one final, unyielding thought. Miho! Senpai, wait for me! And then, with a final surge of warmth and clarity, everything went dark. Veldora's POV, the silence before the storm. I am Veldora, the storm dragon, the ancient, the mighty, the one whose name alone inspires terror across the lands. I've said that to myself countless times over the centuries, and yet the weight of those words has not diminished. 2 millennia have passed since I first roamed this world, a force of nature unchallenged and unyielding. The winds bend to my will, the skies tremble at my roar, and yet, here I am. Sealed. The thought is as bitter as it is humbling. For 300 years now, I've been confined, trapped by a human skill, unlimited imprisonment. An insult to my legacy, to the very concept of what it means to be a true dragon. My blood boils at the thought of it, yet I cannot deny a grudging respect for the ingenuity of mortals. To think they could craft a prison strong enough to bind one such as me. Time drags here in this endless void, a stagnant, monotonous stretch of existence. The silence is oppressive, broken only by my own musings. But then again, I am the embodiment of chaos, the storm made flesh. The winds, the lightning, the torrential rains, they do not ask for control, they simply are. Untamed. Wild. Others fail to understand this truth. They see my essence as recklessness, as if I lack discipline. They're wrong. It's not that I cannot control my power, it's that I refuse to be controlled. I think of my sisters, Velzard and Velgrind. They've always been so meticulous. Velzard, the white ice dragon, with her calculating nature and cold precision. Velgrind, the scorching dragon, relentless and steadfast in her ambitions. The two of them have always played their roles well, maneuvering through the grand tapestry of this world as though it were a game of chess. And me? They've always seen me as the wild card. The unpredictable storm. Useful in its chaos, but too dangerous to wield without care. They never understood me. They think they're the ones pulling the strings, that they're the masters of this endless game. They think they can shape the world to their liking, each carving out their dominion. But I see through their schemes. I am no pawn to be moved across a board, no weapon to be wielded at their convenience. But my brother, Rimuru, he's different. He sees me not as a tool, nor as a threat, but as an equal. As his sibling. A friend. Even after I was sealed, he came to visit me. He brought news from the outside world, shared stories, and spoke to me as though I were still free. He reminded me of my identity when the isolation threatened to strip it away. It's been decades since his last visit, though, and I cannot deny that I've missed his presence. Suddenly, my musings are interrupted. I sense something. A ripple in the stagnant magicule surrounding me. It's faint at first, but it grows stronger, a tiny spark of life amidst the oppressive sea of my magic. A creature? I mutter aloud, the sound of my own voice startling me in the silence. I focus my senses. The presence is moving. No. It's approaching. My curiosity flares to life. This place is saturated with my magicules, an environment so hostile that no ordinary creature could survive. Yet here it is, moving steadily closer. A slime. Of all things, it's a slime, a creature so weak, so insignificant, that most would overlook it entirely. But this one is different. It's moving with purpose, as though it knows exactly where it's going. Impossible. The thought echoes in my mind. Slimes are mindless, simple creatures. They do not navigate, they do not seek, and they certainly do not survive in conditions like these. Yet this one continues forward, undeterred by the overwhelming pressure of my magicules. Excitement stirs within me, a feeling I haven't experienced in decades. Could this tiny creature be more than it seems? For centuries, my existence has been a monotonous stretch of time, unchanging and unchallenging. But now, this slime has shattered that monotony. I watch it closely, every sense on high alert. There's something about it, something that sets it apart from the mindless monsters that roam the land above. It's not afraid. It knows I'm here, and yet it presses on, undaunted. What are you? I murmur, more to myself than to the creature. Interesting, very interesting. When the slime comes to a halt just a few meters from my prison, I decide it's time to act. I've observed long enough. It's time to see if this creature can entertain me. Focusing my mind, I project my thoughts directly into its consciousness, a mental voice as vast and commanding as the storm itself. Oi, little slime, I say, my tone carrying a mix of amusement and challenge. You've come quite far for such a weak creature. What is it that drives you? Can you hear me, little one? The slime freezes at the sound of my voice, or rather, at the presence of it within its mind. For a moment, I sense its confusion, its hesitation. Slime's POV. Drip, drip. A faint sound echoed through the void, stirring his thoughts like ripples on a still pond. Where am I? What happened? And then it came rushing back. The memories slammed into him with the force of a tidal wave, Miho's smile, the chaos of the terrorist attack, the overwhelming pain, and then nothing. Ah, right. I died, didn't I? He tried to open his eyes, desperate to orient himself, but there was only darkness. Not just a lack of light, it was an absolute void, an absence of everything. That wasn't all. He couldn't feel anything. No cold, no warmth. Not even the dull ache of a body battered by injury. Wait, this isn't just darkness, he realized. I can't feel my eyes. I can't hear anything. I can't feel my arms or legs either. Panic set in, sharp and suffocating. Fear clawed at his mind, raw and primal. Am I in some kind of vegetative state? His thoughts spiraled, his desperation mounting. Am I trapped? Comatose, unable to move, unable to speak or hear or see. Damn it! This can't be happening. The memories of his final moments pushed through the chaos. Where is Miho? We were together. Did she make it out? Is she alive? The question gnawed at him, each possibility worse than the last. I need to see. I need to understand where the hell I am. A sudden voice interrupted his spiraling thoughts, calm and detached, as though oblivious to his terror. Received. Individual unnamed has currently died and been reincarnated as a slime. The words hung in the void like a thunderclap. Wait, what? Died? Reincarnated? As a slime. He froze, his panic replaced with utter disbelief. You don't just say that so casually. That's rude. The sheer absurdity of the statement sank in, and he felt himself teetering between hysterical laughter and incredulous rage. Who the hell are you? Received. It is the effective unique skill Great Sage acquired during the process of reincarnation. Great Sage? Unique skill? What are you even talking about? His confusion deepened as the voice continued, clinical and unyielding. Answer. Skills are abilities granted by the voice of the world based upon an individual's actions and desires under certain conditions. They are classified into four primary categories. Basic skills, fundamental abilities accessible to most individuals. These are easily acquired under standard conditions. Extra skills, rare and specialized abilities that surpass basic skills in power and application. Unique skills, singular abilities that crystallize an individual's deepest desires and beliefs. No two unique skills are identical, and they often possess powerful sub-abilities. Intrinsic skills, skills exclusive to certain species. As a slime, individual unnamed has the intrinsic skills absorb, dissolve, and self-regeneration. The voice's detached explanation sank in slowly, the words carrying a strange finality. Intrinsic skills? As a slime. He focused, trying to process what he'd just learned. The sheer impossibility of it all made his head spin. But as the pieces clicked together, something else shifted within him. He became acutely aware of his own existence, or rather, its peculiarities. He couldn't feel limbs or muscles. He couldn't even feel his breath or heartbeat. Instead, there was a strange fluidity to his being, a formlessness that was both alien and oddly comforting. Wait. He concentrated, trying to grasp the sensations or lack thereof. I don't have a body? No arms, no legs, no. Anything? I'm really of a slime? A heavy sigh echoed in his thoughts. What's done is done, I guess. No point in crying over spilt milk, or blood, for that matter. Still, he couldn't help but feel a spark of curiosity amidst the shock. These unique skills sound interesting though. Maybe they're not all bad. His thoughts turned to the voice. Hey, Sage-san. You said something about being one of these skills, right? What can you do? Affirmative. I am the unique skill Great Sage. I am capable of providing analysis, calculations, and strategic assistance. Hey, pretty handy, he mused. Do I have any other skills or abilities? Can you tell me about them? Silence followed. Sage-san? You there? There was no response. Okay, so here's the gist I've gathered from Great Sage. I currently possess 3 unique skills, Predator, Great Sage, and one other yet to be fully revealed. And honestly speaking? These skills are ridiculously overpowered. Let's start with Predator. This one's, well, a game changer. It has 5 distinct sub-abilities that make it absurdly versatile. First, predation. This lets me absorb anything, organic or inorganic, into my body. It's less effective if the target has a strong consciousness, though. Still, the idea of devouring and assimilating nearly anything is, frankly, terrifying. Second, analysis. This breaks down whatever I absorb. For objects, it means reverse engineering them into usable materials. For magic or skills, it means understanding and replicating them after successful analysis. Third, stomach. This acts like a personal inventory. Anything I absorb can be stored indefinitely, unaffected by time. Food stays fresh, items don't deteriorate, it's basically the ultimate storage. Fourth, mimicry. Once I've fully analyzed a target, I can mimic its form or use its abilities. The sheer versatility of this ability could make me a nightmare to deal with in any situation. Fifth, isolate. Harmful substances absorbed into my body are neutralized and broken down into magical energy. Poisons, curses, toxins, they're all rendered harmless. Did I miss anything, great sage? I asked, marveling at how absurdly powerful this one skill alone was. Negative. Fair enough. Then there's Great Sage, a skill that defies explanation even as I try to grasp its full potential. According to Great Sage, this skill was created by merging two extra skills I had upon reincarnation, Fate and Sage. Together, they formed something far greater than the sum of their parts. Great Sage itself has 5 sub-skills. First, Thought Acceleration. This speeds up my perception by 1,000 times, allowing me to process situations and make decisions in an instant. Second, Parallel Processing. This ability lets me divide my consciousness, performing multiple tasks at once without overloading my mind. Strategizing, analyzing, and acting simultaneously? No problem. Third, Cast Cancel. This eliminates the need for chanting or rituals when casting magic. Spells that would normally take time are now instantaneous. Fourth, Analysis. Like Predator's version, but even more precise. This lets Great Sage analyze anything I come into contact with, objects, abilities, phenomena, and uncover their secrets. Fifth, Fate. This is where things get interesting. Fate allows me to foresee and influence future outcomes, though only for a few seconds at my current level. It's not omnipotent, but in a life or death situation, even a brief glimpse can change everything. The fact that this sub-skill originated from its own extra skill makes it feel deeply personal. A crystallization of my will to defy the cruel hand of destiny. Together, these sub-skills make Great Sage both my greatest weapon and my ultimate guide. But there's something strange about it. A mystery buried within the skill itself, something called the response system. Unlike everything else I've acquired, this wasn't something I earned or developed naturally. It was granted. When I asked Great Sage about it, its response was unsettlingly vague. Unconfirmed. No information can be found. That answer didn't sit well with me. Who, or what, granted it? And why? For now, I pushed the thought aside. There were too many unanswered questions, and no way to solve them yet. All right, I muttered to myself. I have got these insane skills, a slime body, and a whole new world to figure out. Let's take it one step at a time. The darkness around me did not feel as oppressive anymore. It felt more like a canvas waiting to be filled. Miho, wherever you are, I will find you. With that promise etched into my soul, I steeled myself to face the unknown. As Sage explained, the voice of the world is the omnipotent system managing the distribution of skills across the multiverse and overseeing the cycle of rebirth. The idea was both fascinating and daunting, a system so powerful it controlled the fundamental mechanics of existence. And yet, something, or someone, had overridden it to grant me the response system. What did that mean? Who could hold such authority? I shook off the intrusive questions. Let's shelve it for now. No point in chasing answers that are not coming anytime soon. Besides, having Sage here to talk to, even if it is one-sided, feels like a gift. But as I mused over this strange situation, a thought struck me like lightning. Hey, Sage, do I even have a brain? Or, for that matter, any kind of organ? How am I even thinking right now? Answer: negative. As a slime, you lack traditional organs, including a brain. Your cellular structure consists of a mass of identical, adaptable cells capable of functioning as brain cells, nerve cells, or muscle cells as needed. These cells operate collectively to replicate all essential functions, preventing overload or damage while maintaining efficient operation. I felt like I blinked, though without eyes. The gesture was purely instinctive. So, I am basically a walking, or rather, sliding blob of super cells. Affirmative. That is actually kind of cool. But wait, if I don't have a stomach or lungs, how do I eat or breathe? Or do I even need to? Answer: negative. As a slime, sustenance and respiration are unnecessary under normal conditions. Your body passively absorbs magicules from the air, which fulfill your energy needs. However, in environments with low magical density, you must consume organic matter, such as monsters or small creatures, to sustain yourself. Additionally, due to your unique cellular structure, sleep is also unnecessary, as operational cells are continuously rotated and maintained. So I don't need to eat, sleep, or breathe unless I'm in a magicule-deprived area. I am like a perpetual motion machine. Correction: energy reserves deplete with prolonged intense activity. Maintenance of reserves is essential for survival. Got it. So I can't just keep going indefinitely. Still, no food, no sleep, no air, that is insane. And what about hydration? Do I need water? Answer: negative. Your cells retain moisture efficiently, rendering external hydration unnecessary. Additionally, your body can directly absorb water from the environment if required, effectively eliminating the risk of dehydration. I could not help but marvel at my own body. This slime form is ridiculously efficient. No hunger, no thirst, no fatigue. I am basically a survivalist's dream. But there has got to be a catch, right? What is the downside? Answer: vulnerabilities include destabilization of cellular structure by high-energy or magic-based attacks. While durable against physical damage, sustained exposure to such forces could lead to critical failure. So I am not completely invincible, but as long as I manage my energy and avoid getting nuked by magic, I am golden. This body was turning out to be far more versatile than I ever imagined. For the first time since waking up in this strange new form, a flicker of optimism warmed my core. Alright, Sage, here is a question that has been bugging me: why can't I see anything? Is this just how slimes are, or am I missing something? Answer: affirmative. Slimes lack conventional eyes or optic nerves necessary for visual perception. Instead, you rely on sensory inputs such as vibration, temperature, and magical energy to detect your surroundings. While these senses provide an awareness of your environment, they do not process light, resulting in the absence of visual data. So I am blind, but with supercharged other senses. That explains why I can feel things, but still, it is weird not having vision. Solution: pseudo-vision can be constructed using available skills. By processing non-visual sensory data through Great Sage, a simulated visual perception can be created. Pseudo-vision? That sounds intriguing. How do I set it up? The anticipation bubbled inside me. Finally, a way to interact with the world that did not leave me stumbling blindly in the dark. Solution: activation requires consent. Initial setup will consume minimal energy, and continuous operation is sustained passively. Begin setup? Yes. Let's do it. So what do I have to do? No action is required on your part. Initialization and configuration will be handled automatically. Suddenly, my surroundings began to shift. The darkness I had been seeing was replaced by something alien yet familiar. The world around me became a vibrant tapestry of sensations, like an abstract painting made of heat signatures, vibrations, and magicule concentrations. It was not sight in the traditional sense, but it formed a clear mental picture. Whoa! This is strange, I muttered. I can see now, but it is so different from human vision. It is like an abstract map of the world, but somehow it just makes sense. Confirmed. The pseudo-vision system has been successfully initialized. Visual data is now being simulated using non-visual sensory inputs. A grin spread across my core. This is amazing. I won't have to stumble around blindly anymore. I paused, taking in my surroundings for the first time with this new pseudo-vision. The space I was in felt enclosed, the textured outlines of rocky walls and scattered plants painting a vivid mental picture. So, I am in a cave. Who? Determined to test out my new form, I shifted my body. Slowly at first, I began bouncing forward, each motion more confident than the last. The rhythmic movements felt surprisingly natural. Finally, I reached a patch of soft, leafy grass. Its texture felt distinct even without touch, each blade pulsing faintly with magicule energy. Notice. Use unique skill predator? Yes or no? Who? Predator. My curiosity flared. All right, sure. Let's see what it does. Yes. Suddenly, my body shifted instinctively. A part of me extended and enveloped the plant. It melted into me, not in a painful or alarming way, but as if it was being deconstructed at a molecular level. Within moments, I could feel the substance stored in a place within me. That is new. So, what just happened? Report: the ingested plant matter has been stored within stomach. Analysis will be completed shortly. Who? That is convenient. Let's speed it up. Sage, link Great Sage's parallel processing with Predator's analysis. Confirmed. Linking Great Sage's parallel processing with Predator's analysis. Processing speed increased. Analysis of ingested plant matter is now complete. That was fast. I had not even noticed the time passing. So this is the power of linking skills, huh? Pretty efficient. What exactly did I just absorb? Report: hypercute herb. A plant used as an ingredient in healing medication. Thrives in areas with high magicule density. It is possible to create healing potions by infusing magicules. Proceed with the creation of healing potion? Yes or no? Healing potions? That sounded like a survivalist's dream. Yes. I felt a subtle shift inside me as the magicule swirled, combining with the plant's properties to create something entirely new. Before I knew it, the process was done. This skill is insane. If I can make healing potions on the fly, I will have a huge edge in survival. I decided to scour the cave for more of these herbs. If they were this useful, it would be foolish not to stockpile them. Each time I absorbed a patch of herbs, the same process played out: analyze, create, store. As I ventured deeper into the cave, I grew more comfortable in my slime form. Bouncing around no longer felt strange, it was oddly freeing. My pseudo-vision continued to highlight every detail: the rocky terrain, the occasional plant, even the faint glow of magicules embedded in the walls. Then, something unusual caught my attention. A rock near the cave wall shimmered faintly, radiating a dense concentration of magicules. Its aura felt distinctly different from the herbs I had been collecting. Sage, what is this, a rock? It seems different, is it important? Analysis complete. The substance you encountered is a magic ore, a material saturated with high concentrations of magicules. These ores can be processed into magisteel, which is commonly used to craft magic equipment and weapons. Magic equipment and weapons. That piqued my interest. I could feel the faint pulse of energy radiating from the rock, a steady hum that called to something deep inside me. This was more than just a resource, it was potential. The very thing that could turn the tide in a world I was only beginning to understand. Magisteel could amplify power, make weapons of unimaginable strength, or even armor capable of withstanding forces beyond comprehension. Definitely something I need to stock up on, I thought to myself, determination settling in. I could not afford to miss out on these valuable resources. With renewed focus, I activated Predator, curious to see if it could absorb something as potent as this ore. Almost immediately, the rock began to dissolve, the dense energy within it being drawn toward me. The process was smooth, almost effortless, as if my body instinctively knew how to handle the raw power coursing through it. I could feel the magicule swirling within me, an intoxicating rush of energy. Within moments, the rock had vanished, leaving behind only the faintest echo of its former presence. That went surprisingly well. I could feel the magic ore now stored within my being, ready to be used whenever I needed it. Continuing my exploration, I moved deeper into the cave, gathering more hypercute herbs and searching for additional magic ore. Every time I absorbed something, I could feel myself becoming more attuned to the rhythm of this world. But then, just as I was beginning to settle into my new routine, I felt a sharp interruption. Report: an uncountable amount of magic has been detected ahead. It is likely the source of the high magic concentration in this cave. Caution advised. Recommend immediate retreat. Retreat? I froze mid-bounce. The words from Great Sage were urgent, a clear warning sign. But as I processed the information, a feeling of resistance stirred within me. Why retreat now? The magic was calling to me, drawing me deeper into the cave, into whatever lay ahead. The logic behind Great Sage's warning made sense, but this was instinct, a tug at the very core of my being. Something was pulling me forward like an invisible thread. It was not just curiosity anymore, it felt more like destiny. Based on risk assessment, it is advised to retreat. The probability of encountering an unknown, potentially hostile force is high. I get it, Sage, I really do, I muttered under my breath, my tone calm yet determined. But trust me on this one, okay? I feel it. Something is down there. I need to know what it is. Just leave it to me. I could almost feel Great Sage processing my words, its internal calculations running through the data. But then, after a long pause, I sensed a shift, a subtle quietness, as if the system had yielded to my request. All right. No turning back now. Ignoring the retreat recommendation, I moved forward, my steps becoming more purposeful with each bounce. The air around me thickened, the atmosphere vibrating with an energy that I could almost taste. The cave around me felt increasingly alive with power, the walls pulsing, the very ground beneath me humming in response. And then, I heard it. Not through my ears, but within my mind, a deep, resonant voice that seemed to echo with the force of a thunderclap. It was a presence vast, ancient, and powerful. Can you hear me, little one? The words were not spoken so much as felt, imprinted onto the very core of my being. The presence behind them was a storm that stretched across eternity. Its sheer weight made my body tremble. And yet, I did not answer. Not because I did not want to, but because, how could I? No mouth, no vocal cords, what was I supposed to do? Squeak? Bubble? Ho? A slime. The voice prodded again, an edge of curiosity creeping in. Are you ignoring me, little slime? Ignoring him? As if. The sheer force of his words was like trying to ignore a hurricane while stuck in its eye. But then, like a needle piercing the bubble of my panic, a single, exasperated thought escaped me. Shut it. I don't even know how to speak. How the hell am I supposed to answer you? Silence. For a split second, the cavern felt eerily still. My thoughts reverberated back to me as though the world itself had stopped to judge my rashness. Then, the laughter started. Deep, guttural, and raw. It began as a rumble, like distant thunder, before erupting into a full-blown gale. Coo. Coo-ha-ha. Coo-ah-ha-ha-ha. You dare speak to me like that? Coo-ah-ha-ha. The sheer force of his amusement rattled the very ground beneath me. If I had a heart, it would have plummeted to the pit of my slime core. Oh crap, I thought frantically. He heard that. Damn it, mind. I really need to think before I think. Still laughing, the voice pressed on. Centuries, it has been centuries since anyone dared to address me so freely. Oh, you amuse me, little one. All I knew was that I needed to apologize, fast. I didn't mean any disrespect, sir, I stammered in my mind. Please don't smite me or whatever it is ancient, all-powerful beings like you do. His laughter softened, turning into a low rumble. Sir, is it now? Amusing, indeed. Tell me, little one, how is it that you, a mere slime, possess such audacity? Even as you tremble, you speak with boldness. The thing is, I began hesitantly, I can't exactly see anything. I mean, not in the normal sense. I have got this pseudo-vision thing through magicules, but the barrier here is messing with it. Interesting, the voice mused. A pseudo-vision? I see. Tell me, would you like true sight? The question hung in the air like an electrified wire. True sight? That sounded amazing. But there was no way something so monumental would come for free. Sure enough, his next words confirmed my suspicions. In exchange, you would do something for me. I hesitated, dread pooling in my core. Deals with powerful beings were never simple. Still, I could not exactly ignore the offer. What would I have to do? I asked, cautious but curious. His response surprised me. Companionship, he said simply. It has been far too long since I have had anyone to speak with. That is all I ask. Conversation. Wait, that is it? I expected some dangerous, world-ending quest or an eternal servitude deal. But no, this mysterious entity, with a presence that could crush mountains, just wanted someone to talk to. That is it? I asked again, wary of a catch. Indeed, he replied. Though I won't lie to you, little one. Things may grow more complicated in time. But for now, I simply wish to alleviate my boredom. His honesty caught me off guard. Despite his overwhelming presence, I did not sense any malice. If anything, he seemed genuinely lonely. Still, I was not about to agree blindly. What do you mean by complicated? I pressed. His laughter returned, softer this time but still resonating with power. Ah, I like your wariness. Wise, little one. You will find out in time, should you accept. For now, I assure you, there is no immediate danger. So? What say you? The temptation was undeniable. Real vision, a chance to see the world in a way I had never imagined. And all I had to do was keep this guy company? I took a leap of faith. All right. We have a deal. Excellent, he rumbled, his tone dripping with satisfaction. Now, allow me to grant you the means to see. Focus on the magicules around you. Feel how they dance with the light in the atmosphere. Let them guide your perception. The instructions were oddly poetic. I closed my metaphorical eyes, concentrating on the magicules saturating the air. Slowly, I began to sense their interaction with something faint, something I had not noticed before, a light. Notice. Extra skill or magic sense acquired. The moment the voice resonated in my mind, I could not shake the eerie familiarity. It was the same voice I had heard when I took my last breath in my previous life, only now it seemed closer, more intimate. Notice. All information will now be managed by Great Sage. The damp, dimly lit cave unfolded before my eyes, its walls glistening faintly as if alive with magic. The air was thick with the hum of energy, the very particles shimmering like restless fireflies. Green hypercute herbs grew in clusters, vibrant and thriving amidst the barren rock, their colors stark against the muted grays. Nearby, veins of magic ore threaded the stone like an artist's masterpiece, gleaming with an unearthly radiance. For a moment, I was overwhelmed. The rush of new sensations was intoxicating. Without thinking, I darted toward a nearby pool of water, driven by an almost childlike curiosity. The surface rippled as I approached, and when I finally leaned over, I saw it. A blue, jelly-like blob stared back at me. Yep, that's me, I muttered internally, a mix of resignation and mild amusement coloring my thoughts. Slime it is, then. My self-reflection was rudely interrupted by a voice, deep and resonant, yet somehow laced with petulance. Well, it's rather rude to ignore the one who granted you sight, you know. Startled, I turned toward the source. My gaze climbed and climbed and climbed until it met the glinting amber eyes of an enormous dragon. He was coiled in the cavern like a living tempest, his deep blue scales shimmering like polished armor, each one reflecting the faint light in hues of thundercloud gray and stormy indigo. His wings, sharp and jagged, were tucked tightly against his serpentine body, but even at rest, they radiated power. Around him shimmered a translucent barrier, its edges rippling like disturbed water, pulsating with a quiet menace. I blinked. A dragon. I stammered internally. Seriously? The dragon tilted his massive head, seemingly amused by my reaction. Hey, don't run off just yet. We made a deal, remember? Besides, I'm curious, what exactly are you? For a creature so imposing, his tone was oddly conversational, even playful. Taking a moment to collect myself, I replied cautiously, well, I used to be a human in my last life. I died in my world and reincarnated here. As you can see, I am now a slime. The dragon's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Reincarnated, you say? Fascinating. Such occurrences are rare, far rarer than simple summoning. And to be reborn as a monster yet retain your ego, most intriguing. That speaks to the strength of your soul. Few can survive such a transition without losing themselves. A small flicker of pride warmed me. I guess I am special then, I said, half joking but also genuinely curious about his insight. What about you? Who are you? The dragon drew himself up with dramatic flair, his wings flaring slightly within the confines of the barrier. I am the storm dragon Veldora, one of the 5 true dragons of this world, the highest-ranking beings in existence. Kuahavaha! His laughter thundered through the cavern, causing the walls to tremble. I instinctively braced myself, realizing just how much power he radiated even in this sealed state. Wait, I said after a pause, my curiosity piqued. 5 true dragons? The highest-ranking beings in existence? That sounds significant. It is. Veldora declared, clearly pleased by my interest. We true dragons are the pinnacle of existence, embodiments of elemental forces. I, for instance, am the storm, chaotic, relentless, and unmatched. And yet, I gestured toward the shimmering barrier, here you are, sealed. What is up with that? Veldora's booming laugh shifted into an awkward cough. Ah, well, about that. There was a small incident a few centuries ago. I may have destroyed a country. Entirely by accident, of course. Accident? I repeated, incredulous. How do you accidentally destroy an entire country? Storms are unpredictable. Veldora retorted, his tone defensive. Besides, it is not like they were entirely innocent. But alas, a hero arrived, an extraordinary one. She was summoned, no doubt. Her skill, her grace, she countered my every move as if she had studied me for centuries. Before I knew it, she had sealed me here with her unique skill, unlimited imprisonment. I studied the barrier with new respect. To contain something as immense as Veldora, the hero must have been incredible. Veldora's voice softened. She wore a mask, but her beauty was undeniable, even under the pale moonlight. I will never forget that battle. I could not help but smirk. Let me guess. You were too busy admiring her beauty to fight seriously, weren't you? His rumbling laugh turned sheepish. Not entirely. She was simply formidable. That is all. Right, I said, unconvinced. Anyway, thanks for the explanation. I should probably get moving now. I turned to roll away, but Veldora's voice called out again. Wait! You can't leave yet. Well, I wouldn't mind some company, you know. I turned back, suppressing a grin. Oh? A mighty true dragon getting lonely? Don't twist my words, he huffed. I just think we could be friends. Friends, who? I considered for a moment before nodding. All right, deal. But don't go causing any more accidents, okay? With a tentative claw extended and my slimy pseudopod reaching out, we shook through the barrier. Despite his intimidating appearance, there was something endearing about Veldora, a storm contained, both literally and metaphorically. And just like that, the unlikeliest of friendships was born. We chatted for a while longer. I shared stories about Japan and my previous world, recounting its culture, technologies, and history. Veldora listened intently, his golden eyes gleaming with fascination as I described modern advancements like skyscrapers, cars, and computers. Humans from your world seem to wield power in their own way, through tools and innovation rather than magic, he remarked thoughtfully. It is almost admirable, for such fragile creatures. To my surprise, Veldora seemed unusually well versed in some aspects of my world. When I asked how he knew, he grinned and said, "My little brother gifted me sacred texts from your realm. He said they would help pass the time." My curiosity piqued. Sacred texts? What do you mean? With a dramatic flourish, Veldora summoned a stack of books from a hidden storage space. To my utter bewilderment, they were manga volumes. Manga? These are your sacred texts? I exclaimed, holding up a familiar title. Of course. Veldora declared, his voice brimming with conviction. They chronicle the triumphs and struggles of humanity. Masterpieces like Dragon Ball and Bleach. My little brother assured me these were treasures of your world. I pinched the bridge of my non-existent nose, trying not to laugh. Veldora, these are just fictional stories. They are entertainment, not sacred texts. He tilted his head, clearly unimpressed by my explanation. Bah! Fiction or not, the wisdom they impart is timeless. Besides, they are thrilling. I sighed. Fair enough. But where did your brother even get these? Veldora shrugged, his tone nonchalant. Who knows? He always has a way of obtaining strange things. Anyway, aren't they amazing? It was hard to argue with his enthusiasm. Still, it left me with more questions than answers about this mysterious little brother of his. Eventually, our conversation turned to more serious matters. Veldora began explaining the cyclical invasions this world faced. Every 500 years, the angels descend from the heavens to reset civilization, he said, his tone darkening. They target advanced technologies and eradicate anything they deem too progressive. Their attacks plunge the world into chaos, igniting what is known as the Great Tenma War. The weight of his words settled heavily on me. So they destroy progress just to keep the world in check? That is terrifying. Indeed, Veldora replied grimly. The war reshapes the balance of power, wiping out nations and entire populations. It is a trial of survival, and only the strongest emerge intact. The idea of an endless cycle of destruction chilled me. My mind raced, trying to imagine the sheer devastation wrought by such invasions. Have you ever fought them yourself? Veldora grinned, though it was tinged with bitterness. Oh, I have encountered them, but I don't involve myself in such petty conflicts. Not anymore. As the conversation shifted again, we began discussing family. I told him about my wife, Miho, and my old life. It was strange, opening up to a dragon I had just met, but Veldora had a way of listening that made it easy. When I spoke about Miho and our death, Veldora was uncharacteristically quiet. His usual exuberance was gone, replaced by a solemn air. He nodded occasionally, his golden eyes focused intently on me. She must have been remarkable, he said finally, his voice softer than I had expected. She was, I replied, my voice heavy with memories. After a moment, Veldora began speaking about his own family. My family consists of 5 true dragons, he said. We were once the pillars of this world. Our eldest, the Star Dragon, gave his life to create the world as we know it. Then there are my 2 elder sisters, the Scorch Dragon and the Ice Dragon. And, of course, my little brother. When he mentioned his sisters, his tone shifted. There was a faint bitterness there, but also something else, fear? It was subtle but unmistakable. They are formidable, he added tersely. Formidable. I pressed, sensing there was more to the story. Veldora's eyes flickered with an emotion I could not quite place. Let's just say they have strong personalities. And their power, well, it is best not to provoke them. I decided not to pry further, but I could not ignore the unease in his voice. Even a true dragon like Veldora seemed wary of his own kin. When he spoke about his younger brother, though, his entire demeanor changed. His voice grew lighter, filled with excitement and admiration. My little brother is extraordinary, he said, almost glowing with pride. He is brilliant, strong, and, well, unpredictable. But if you ever catch his attention, let me give you some advice: don't anger him. He may seem mild, but his fury is unmatched. The warning sent a shiver down my spine. If someone as powerful as Veldora respected and feared his younger brother, then he must be an unfathomable being. Good to know, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. I'll keep that in mind. Veldora leaned back, crossing his arms, his expression a mix of amusement and pride. You know, I have sparred with one of the demon lords on occasion, he began casually. They are part of a council, the 10 great demon lords. Each one rules over their own territory, more or less trying to prove who is the strongest. The country I destroyed? It belonged to one of them. I blinked, taken aback by his nonchalant tone. Wait, you destroyed a demon lord's country? Veldora grinned widely. Of course. It was a long time ago. They had it coming, meddling in my affairs. Besides, most of those so-called demon lords are nothing but weaklings. Not worth my time. Not worth your time. I could not help but laugh nervously. I'd probably be running for my life if I ever met one. He waved a hand dismissively. Bah! You have me now. If any demon lords trouble you, I'll crush them for you. Underneath all that bravado, though, I began to notice something else about Veldora, a genuine curiosity, almost childlike in its enthusiasm. Every time I mentioned something about my world, like manga or video games, his eyes would light up. You humans create such fascinating things, Veldora said, his tone tinged with wonder. Manga, especially. The drama, the battles, the wisdom. Truly masterpieces of storytelling. I shook my head with a smile. You are surprisingly knowledgeable, you know that. Of course, he declared proudly. I have had centuries to refine my intellect. I am quite the scholar, you see. It was hard not to laugh. For all his arrogance, Veldora was oddly endearing, like an excitable kid. Still, as much as I enjoyed talking with him, I knew I could not stay here forever. The longer I stayed, the heavier the weight of his imprisonment felt. So, what now? I asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Any ideas on how to deal with this barrier? Veldora tilted his head, his golden eyes narrowing. Barrier? What do you mean? I gestured toward the shimmering, translucent prison surrounding him. I mean this thing. How are we going to unseal you? I can't just leave my friend trapped here, can I? For a moment, Veldora stared at me, his expression unreadable. Then, to my surprise, he let out an exasperated sigh. You? You are going to make me emotional with those words, he muttered, his voice quieter than before. Emotional? You? I teased, though his softened expression caught me off guard. He quickly masked his vulnerability with a loud grumble. It's embarrassing to be seen like this, you know. Stop giving me those puppy dog eyes. I huffed, trying to lighten the mood. It's cute on a pretty girl, but not on an ancient dragon like you. Veldora coughed awkwardly, clearing his throat as if to regain his dignity. Well, he said, his tone more serious now, it's not that simple. This barrier, the unlimited imprisonment, was cast by a hero of extraordinary power. It's an advanced spatial seal, far beyond the reach of ordinary magic. Even I, in all my glory, cannot break it from within. I frowned, stepping closer to the barrier. Its translucent surface shimmered with an otherworldly energy, radiating a sense of impenetrability. Sage, I whispered internally, can you analyze this thing? Answer, the unlimited imprisonment is a spatial construct formed by overlapping dimensions. Physical destruction is impossible. My chest tightened. Great. So there is no way to break it. Correction, simultaneous analysis from both inside and outside may provide a solution. I exhaled slowly, my thoughts racing. Hey, Veldora, I said, breaking the silence. If we analyze this barrier together, we might be able to undo it. Veldora tilted his head, intrigued. Analyze it, you say? But my skills, like my body, are sealed within this prison. That's fine. All I need is information. My skill, Great Sage, will handle the analysis. He regarded me for a moment, his golden eyes narrowing. That will take time, he said finally. Are you sure you're not in a rush? Don't you want to search for your wife? Miho, wasn't it? His words hit me harder than I expected, and for a moment, I hesitated. I do, I admitted quietly. More than anything. But I can't rush into it. I don't know enough about this world yet, and finding her on my own would be next to impossible. The best thing I can do right now is gather allies and information. I met his gaze, determination hardening my voice. Besides, you are my first friend in this world. I am not leaving you behind. Veldora stared at me, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly, a wide grin spread across his face. Ku-ha-ha. You are an interesting one, Slime. Entrusting myself to you, why not? I trust you after all. Besides, this is the most fun I have had in centuries. I blinked, momentarily stunned by how easily he placed his faith in me. Wow. You are awfully carefree about this. Of course, he declared with a booming laugh. I am Veldora, the Storm Dragon. I have nothing to fear. His unshakable confidence was almost infectious. If he could trust me so completely, the least I could do was live up to that trust. All right then, I said, a grin tugging at my lips. Let's do this together, Veldora. I promise, I will set you free. As his laughter echoed through the cave, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was not just about finding Miho anymore. It was about forging bonds in this new world, one step at a time. And freeing Veldora was the first step on that journey. Okay then, here I go. I said, focusing my energy as I prepared to use Predator. Wait! Veldora's booming voice echoed through the cavern, stopping me in my tracks. His tone was different this time, not his usual arrogance or playfulness, but something firm, commanding. What now? I asked, irritation creeping into my voice. Why are you stopping me this time? Veldora's golden eyes locked onto mine, filled with a rare intensity. His sharp gaze glimmered, not just with authority but with something deeper, concern, perhaps. Before we proceed, let me give you a name, he said, his voice steady yet brimming with an almost ceremonial weight. And in return, you will give me one as well. We will share a family name, a bond, a symbol of our connection. A name? I blinked, taken aback. But I already have one, it's a T. Stop! Veldora's voice thundered like a tempest unleashed, the sheer force of it reverberating through the cavern walls. The very air seemed to ripple with his power, making me flinch. You fool! Do you even comprehend the danger of naming yourself? Answer, naming a monster requires a significant amount of magicules from the namer. Given the current state of your magicule reserve, naming yourself could have resulted in severe depletion, potentially leading to death. Great Sage's calm, matter-of-fact voice echoed in my mind, contrasting with the storm of Veldora's warning. I swallowed hard, the weight of my near mistake sinking in. Ah. I didn't know, I admitted, my voice quieter now. Sorry, Veldora. I didn't mean to. HMPH. Veldora huffed, his stern demeanor softening, though his gaze remained sharp. You are lucky I stopped you. But heed this lesson well, you have got a lot to learn, little one. I nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and embarrassment. Understood. I will be more careful. Veldora's lips curled into a grin, though his pride was still evident. Good. Now, I will give you a proper name. One that reflects your uniqueness, a name worthy of my sworn friend. From now on, you shall be Riken. As Veldora spoke, his voice resonated with a deep, almost primal power. The name seemed to echo not just in the air but within the very core of my being. In that moment, something deep inside me stirred, an unfamiliar energy awakening and spreading like wildfire. It was overwhelming, exhilarating, and terrifying. I feel. My voice faltered as I clutched at my core. My entire form trembled, rippling with power beyond anything I had ever felt. What's happening to me? The act of naming changes a being, Veldora explained, his tone now proud and triumphant. Especially when the name comes from someone as magnificent as I. You are no longer the same, you are now Riken, transformed by my unmatched power. I could barely process his words as the energy surged within me. It was not just a physical change, it felt like my very essence was being rewritten. My mind raced with both fear and awe at the transformation taking place. But Veldora was not done. Now, as tradition dictates, you will give me a family name in return, he said, his eyes gleaming. A name that binds us as kin, that symbolizes our unbreakable bond. A family name, something that would connect us. I forced myself to focus through the chaos of my evolving form, the answer coming to me instinctively. How about Tempest? I suggested, the word leaving my lips with surprising certainty. It suits you, you're storm-like nature, and I guess it fits me too. Together, we will shake this world. For a moment, Veldora was silent, his eyes widening ever so slightly before he broke into a wide, toothy grin. Tempest. I like it. Yes, it carries strength and majesty. From this day forward, I am Veldora Tempest, and you, Riken Tempest, are my sworn brother. As he declared our names, the air around us seemed to tremble. Magicules surged wildly, crackling like lightning in a storm. A tremendous energy flooded into me, even more potent than before, threatening to overwhelm me entirely. Notice, evolution triggered. You have been named by a powerful being. Commencing evolution process. The words rang in my mind, but I barely had time to process them. My body shuddered violently as the magicules within me surged, reshaping me from the inside out. It was like being torn apart and rebuilt simultaneously, every fiber of my being burning with the intensity of the storm itself. The power was too much. My consciousness wavered as my body adapted to the overwhelming influx of magicules. In the distance, Veldora's laughter echoed, proud and unyielding. Kuhavaha! From this day forward, we are the Tempest brothers. The world will tremble before us. His booming declaration was the last thing I heard as my awareness finally gave way to the storm within. Yet, even as everything faded to black, a sense of warmth lingered, a bond forged in trust, power, and the promise of unshakable friendship. And with that, I let the darkness take me, ready to awaken as something greater. Darkness. Infinite, consuming darkness. It enveloped me in a cocoon of silence so profound it felt alive, pressing against me from all sides. Yet, within its oppressive grip, there was a strange serenity, a calmness that whispered of transformation. My very essence felt as though it were being unraveled, threads of my existence tearing apart only to weave back together, stronger and more vibrant than before. Then, piercing the void like a lightning strike, came the voice. Notice, evolution complete. You have evolved into a Tempest slime. The word surged through my mind, shattering the stillness. Awareness flooded back to me, sharp and sudden. My senses reignited, and the void crumbled away like brittle glass. Slowly, I observed my surroundings. The world around me was different. The air thrummed with energy, magicule swirling in intricate, mesmerizing patterns that I could now see as clearly as I could feel. Every flicker of light, every whisper of the cave's breath, pulsed with life in a way I had never perceived before. It was not just vision or sensation, it was like the world itself had opened its arms to me, inviting me to see its secrets. Notice, extra skill storm has been acquired. The announcement echoed in my mind, the word storm resonating with an unfamiliar, yet deeply connected, power. Inside me, I could feel it, a tempest waiting to be unleashed. Wind, lightning, rain, and chaos all coiled tightly together, begging for release. Before I could fully comprehend it, a familiar, booming voice shattered the moment. Kuhavaha! Awake at last, Riken! Veldora's voice echoed through the cave like a thunderclap, brimming with unrestrained energy. I shifted my focus toward the towering dragon, and for the first time, I truly felt his power. His aura was not just overwhelming, it was a maelstrom of pure dominance, every pulse of his magicules vibrating in perfect harmony with the storm brewing inside me. Days? I echoed, my voice carrying a faint distortion from the energy within me. How long was I out? 3 days. Veldora proclaimed, puffing out his chest as if he had orchestrated my transformation himself. Kuhavaha! You underwent a grand evolution, Riken. It was a sight to behold, though you missed all the fun of watching it. I flexed, or at least, I tried to. My amorphous body rippled in response, and I marveled at the strength coursing through me. This power, it's incredible. I feel like a completely different being. As you should. Veldora's grin widened, his fangs gleaming in the faint light. The name I bestowed upon you was not given lightly. You are now a being of the Tempest, Riken. Strong enough to stand beside me as my equal, or nearly so. The pride in his voice was infectious, but I was not here to bask in his praise. I shifted closer to the barrier that had imprisoned him for centuries, its shimmering surface radiating an unnatural coldness. Enough about me. Let's focus on freeing you. This barrier has been your prison long enough. As I extended a tendril toward the magical seal, Veldora's tone shifted, a sudden gravity in his voice halting my movement. Wait, Riken, he said, his eyes narrowing with an intensity one had not seen before. I paused, confusion washing over me. What is it? I thought you wanted out of here. I do, he replied, his voice firm. But before you proceed, there is something you need to understand. This cave is more than just my prison. It's the heart of Jura Forest, my territory. By freeing me and absorbing this barrier, you won't just be changing your own fate. You will be assuming responsibility for everything beyond these walls. His words struck me like a physical blow. The entire forest? What are you talking about? Kuhavaha! Veldora's laugh echoed, but there was a glint of seriousness in his golden eyes. Jura Forest is vast and teeming with life. Monsters, spirits, ancient beasts, all of them have thrived under my protection. If I disappear, that balance will be shattered. The forest needs a guardian, Riken. My tendril wavered, hesitation creeping into my movements. You're saying that if I absorb you, I have to take over protecting an entire forest? What if I mess it up? What if the monsters go wild? Veldora's gaze softened, though his pride remained unshaken. Nonsense. You have already proven yourself capable, Riken. I wouldn't entrust this task to you if I didn't believe in your strength and resolve. Besides... He paused, his grin taking on a sly edge. What now? I asked warily, sensing mischief in his tone. I have made arrangements, Veldora said, his voice brimming with confidence. The overseer of the forest will assist you. They are more than capable of helping you manage things while I am resting in your stomach. The overseer. I repeated, my curiosity piqued. Who is that? And why haven't you mentioned them before? Veldora chuckled, his eyes gleaming with amusement. It's a surprise, Riken. You will meet them soon enough, and I assure you, they are more than up to the task. Trust me on this. I sighed, the enormity of the situation pressing down on me. Fine, but if this goes south, it's on you, Veldora-san. Kuhavaha. That's the spirit, he roared, his laugh carrying an undercurrent of excitement. Now, Riken Tempest, let us break this prison and reshape the world. With renewed determination, I reached for the barrier once more, the swirling storm within me rising to meet the challenge ahead. The weight of responsibility was daunting, but in that moment, I felt a bond with Veldora, a bond forged through trust, power, and an unspoken promise to protect what he held dear. I crossed my arms, feeling more uncertain. That sounds nice, but I still don't know if I can handle it all. What if the monsters go wild without you around? His golden eyes bore into me, their usual arrogance replaced by a rare, solemn intensity. Exactly, he repeated, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of vigilance. Without me, the balance of power here will collapse. Monsters within the forest will turn against each other, vying for dominance. And worse, there are those outside this forest who have long hungered for what lies within. They will come, drawn like vultures to a feast. The atmosphere in the cave seemed to shift, charged with unspoken tension. I could feel it, a low, humming current in the air that pulsed with the weight of Veldora's emotions. His protective fury was not just territorial instinct, it was a promise. The Jura forest was more than his domain. It was his legacy, his pride, and his home. For the first time since meeting him, I glimpsed a side of Veldora that was not the brash, overconfident dragon I had come to know. This was a being who had lived through countless battles, seen empires rise and fall, and understood the chaos that could follow even the smallest power vacuum. His concern was not baseless, it was terrifyingly real. I clenched my fists, the enormity of the task settling like a stone in my gut. So, you're saying if I screw this up, the whole forest turns into a war zone? I asked, my voice tinged with frustration. Veldora let out a low chuckle, the sound rumbling like distant thunder. Precisely. But you won't fail, Riken. You have something no other being in this world possesses, me. His grin returned, confident and sharp. Even sealed within you, my power will bolster yours. And when the time comes, we will stand together once more to remind the world why they should fear the name Tempest. I wanted to roll my eyes at his theatrics, but something in his words stirred me, a spark of determination. His faith in me, however exaggerated, felt strangely grounding. All right, I said, exhaling slowly. I will take care of it. But if things go sideways, I will make sure you regret leaving this mess to me. Kuhavaha. That's the spirit. Veldora laughed, the sound filling the cave with its familiar bombast. Remember, Riken, you are no ordinary slime now. You are a Tempest slime. My equal in power, my sworn friend, and my trusted guardian of this forest. I hesitated, staring at him. Despite his confidence, I could feel the weight of his trust, and it was both humbling and terrifying. Fine, I said at last, steeling myself. I will do it. But you had better keep your word about that, overseer. If I am going to manage an entire forest, I need all the help I can get. Kuhavaha. Of course. You will find the overseer more than adequate, I assure you. They will be an invaluable ally, if a bit eccentric. I raised an eyebrow at the word eccentric, but before I could question him further, Veldora's massive form shifted, his energy surging. The barrier around him shimmered, its intricate patterns glowing faintly as if in response to my resolve. Enough talk, Veldora declared. It's time. Unleash your power, Riken. Show me what the Tempest slime can do. My core pulsed with energy as I activated Predator. The air vibrated as tendrils of my body stretched outward, wrapping around the shimmering barrier. It was unlike anything I had absorbed before, dense, layered, and brimming with ancient magic. Notice, commencing absorption of target, unlimited imprisonment. The barrier resisted, its magic twisting and coiling like a living thing. For a moment, I felt as if I were fighting against an unyielding tide, my power clashing with the immense strength of the prison that had held Veldora for centuries. But I did not falter. I pushed harder, my essence expanding to envelop the barrier completely. Yes, that's it. Veldora roared, his voice booming with excitement. Destroy this wretched prison. Prove your worth, my sworn friend. Notice, target successfully absorbed. Veldora's massive form shimmered as the remnants of the barrier dissolved. His golden eyes locked onto mine one last time, a mix of pride and determination shining in their depths. Remember, Riken, he said, his voice softer now, almost solemn. The Jura forest is yours to protect. Before I could respond, his colossal form dissolved into a stream of magicules, flowing into my stomach. The cave fell silent, the oppressive weight of his presence gone. For the first time, I felt truly alone. I sat there for a moment, the reality of my new responsibilities sinking in. The Jura forest, an untamed expanse of danger and wonder, was now under my protection. And somewhere within it, an enigmatic overseer awaited me. All right, let's do this, I muttered, my resolve hardening. Sage, help me find the quickest way out of here. Acknowledged. Calculating optimal path to the surface. As the calm voice of the great sage guided me forward, I felt a surge of determination. The world outside awaited, full of challenges and mysteries. And I was ready to face them, not as a mere slime, but as the Tempest slime. Veldora's sworn friend. And protector of the Jura forest. Third-person POV. Within the dense, mystical forest of Ravenwood stood a realm of unparalleled beauty and grandeur, a hidden sanctuary known as Yggdrasil. Shrouded in mystery, this country remained invisible to the outside world, a place where nature and progress harmonized seamlessly. Unlike the chaotic, war-torn lands beyond its borders, Yggdrasil thrived as a beacon of unity and strength. It was not an ordinary nation, it was a sanctuary where monsters of all kinds coexisted in peace. This utopia owed its existence and prosperity to its ruler, the enigmatic void dragon, Rimuru Tempest, the youngest of the revered true dragons. At the heart of this extraordinary country was its capital, Ravenhelm, a city that radiated elegance and power. Towering spires of crystal and obsidian reached toward the heavens, glowing faintly with ethereal light. In the city's center stood the Grand Palace, a masterpiece of architecture that symbolized both the might and wisdom of its ruler. It was a place where decisions that shaped not only Yggdrasil but the world itself were made. Inside the lavishly decorated office of the palace, Rimuru sat behind a large ebony desk, its surface strewn with papers and sealed scrolls. The light of a magical chandelier bathed the room in a warm golden glow, accentuating the intricate carvings of the walls and the rich fabric of the curtains. Rimuru's eyes, glowing faintly with an otherworldly blue hue, were focused on the paperwork before him. Despite the tedious nature of his tasks, there was no trace of frustration on his face. His calm demeanor exuded both authority and grace. On one of the plush couches in the office sat Chloe, the Empress of Yggdrasil and Rimuru's wife. Her presence added a quiet serenity to the room. Clad in her flowing white dress with blue floral patterns, she meticulously sorted through documents, her delicate fingers moving with practiced ease. The silence in the room was broken only by the faint rustling of papers and the occasional sigh from Rimuru. Then, without warning, Rimuru leaned back in his chair, his gaze lifting from the documents to the ornate ceiling above. A small, knowing smile spread across his lips, his usually composed expression softening into something brighter, almost mischievous. Chloe noticed immediately. She placed the papers she had been organizing onto the polished table in front of her and rose gracefully from the couch. Approaching him, her brows knitted slightly, a mixture of curiosity and concern flashing in her eyes. "Rimuru," she began, her voice gentle yet firm, "what is it? Did something happen?" As she came closer, her delicate floral scent filled the air, momentarily distracting Rimuru from his thoughts. He turned his gaze to her, his smile widening, his eyes gleaming with something she could not quite place, anticipation. "Amusement?" "It's nothing bad," he assured her, his tone laced with a cryptic playfulness. "I just sensed something, unexpected or expected." Rimuru POV, before Veldora's disappearance. It had been decades since Chloe and I returned to Yggdrasil, but the memories of that time still lingered vividly. The day I stood before my people to explain everything, our bond, our love, was one of the most nerve-wracking moments of my life. The reactions were a whirlwind of emotions. Some of my subordinates were taken aback, struggling to reconcile the fierce warrior they knew with the tender side I had shown Chloe. Others were overwhelmed with happiness, cheering us on. Ignis and Frigidus, predictably, were the most nonchalant. Those two had always been hard to surprise. Still, not everything was smooth. Some doubted, others hesitated. But Chloe, ever composed and resolute, had quickly earned their respect with her unwavering strength and grace. Her presence alone silenced dissent, and soon, she wasn't just my partner but the Empress of Yggdrasil, loved and admired by all. But that wasn't the only surprise I had dropped on everyone. I had also introduced Diawolo to my subordinates, a demon of unparalleled power, one of the primordial seven, no less. His evolution into a true demon lord had already made waves across the world. To bring someone of his stature into our fold was unexpected, to say the least. The reactions were predictable. Shock rippled through the room. Murmurs of disbelief spread like wildfire. The fear in some of their eyes was hard to miss. After all, Diawolo's name carried weight in the demon realm. Yet, I knew better than anyone else that Diawolo's loyalty was absolute. He had sworn to serve me, and I trusted him. Still, Ignis, fiery and headstrong as always, could not resist testing him. Their duel shook the palace grounds. The sheer force of their clash left even seasoned warriors speechless. I will admit, I was surprised by how much Ignis had grown in my absence. That night, we celebrated. A grand party was held in honor of Chloe and me, a night filled with laughter, music, and a deep sense of camaraderie. For the first time in a long while, I allowed myself to relax, to simply enjoy the warmth of the bonds I had forged. Now, seated at my desk, the memories felt like a distant dream. Paperwork had taken over my life lately, the price of ruling a country as vast and complex as Yggdrasil. The fading light of dusk cast a golden glow across my office as I worked through the day's final reports. The soft rustle of parchment and the gentle scratching of my quill filled the air, blending seamlessly with the tranquil ambience of the palace. Chloe was with me, seated gracefully on the couch nearby, her flowing white dress adorned with blue floral patterns catching the evening light. She was engrossed in organizing her documents, her delicate movements exuding both focus and poise. Her presence was calming, a silent reminder of the peace I had found in this chaotic world. Yet, beneath the surface of that calm, I always carried the weight of countless lifetimes, battles, and sacrifices. I dipped my quill into the ink pot, ready to finish my work, when a sudden, chilling emptiness froze me in place. The quill hovered mid-air as my senses screamed in alarm. Veldora's aura, untamed, chaotic, and unmistakably his, had vanished. A sharp pang coursed through me, and I leaned back in my chair, my fingers drumming against the armrest as my mind raced. I murmured, my voice barely audible. Chloe's attention shifted immediately. She looked up, her emerald eyes searching mine, concern etched into her features. Rimuru? What is it? I exhaled slowly, the heaviness in my chest pressing harder with each passing second. It's Veldora, I said, my voice low and laced with tension. His aura, it's gone. Completely. Her brows furrowed, the worry in her eyes deepening. Gone? That's impossible. He's a true dragon. No, it's not death, I interrupted, my tone sharp but controlled. If Veldora had truly died, I would have felt it through our soul corridor. This isn't the loss of magicules or the end of life. I paused, my gaze hardening. This is... Chloe stood, setting her documents aside as she approached me. What are you saying? I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the desk and clasping my hands together. My mind pieced together fragments of knowledge and instinct, searching for answers. It's too precise. Too sudden. Someone has sealed him away or sent him away, likely in some form of subspace confinement. A skill like my imaginary space or stomach. Sealed? Chloe echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. She moved to stand beside me, her presence warm and grounding amidst the... I nodded, my lips curling into a grim smile. Exactly. Only this time, it's not my doing. Someone else, someone powerful, has replicated what I did or perhaps used a skill similar to mine. A flicker of void energy danced around my fingertips as I spoke, my thoughts returning to the past. Back when I was a slime, I devoured Veldora to free him from unlimited imprisonment. The sensation of his disappearance now, it's eerily similar. Chloe stepped closer, her hand resting gently on my shoulder. Her touch grounded me, pulling me back from the spiraling storm of my thoughts. Who could have done this? And why? I smirked faintly, leaning back in my chair as a spark of determination ignited within me. It's time, I murmured, more to myself than to her. Time for what? Chloe asked, her confusion evident as she tilted her head, her silver necklace, a dragon pendant I had given her, glinting softly in the light. Rising from my chair, I moved toward the balcony. The cool evening air greeted me, carrying the faint scent of the surrounding forest. Below, the city of Ravenhelm bustled with activity, its golden lights illuminating the streets like a constellation. I placed my hands on the railing, my gaze fixed on the horizon. Memories of my elder brother, Veldanava, surfaced unbidden, his words echoing in my mind. Veldanava once told me that this world, this timeline, was designed to repair itself. A delicate balance that would eventually stabilize without intervention. I glanced back at Chloe, whose concerned gaze never... The faint glow of void energy swirled around my clenched fists as I continued, my voice steady but resolute. Now, it's time for the world to know the truth. To know that the void dragon exists. Chloe followed me onto the balcony, her dress flowing gracefully in the breeze. She stepped behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist. Her warmth seeped into me, softening the sharp edges of my resolve. Rimuru, she whispered, her voice a soothing balm against my turmoil. I don't fully understand what's happening, but I trust you. Whatever you decide, I'll stand by you. Her unwavering support melted away the tension that had been building within me. I turned in her embrace, my hands gently resting on her shoulders as I gazed into her eyes. Veldora isn't just my brother, Chloe. He's a part of me, my family. And you'll face it, she said with quiet certainty, her eyes shining with faith. Whoever or whatever is behind this, you'll find them. And you'll bring him back. A soft chuckle escaped my lips as I leaned closer, pressing a tender kiss to her forehead. How did I ever get so lucky? I murmured. She smiled, her hand sliding up to rest against my chest. You don't give yourself enough credit. You deserve this, Rimuru. All of it. For a moment, the world around us seemed to fade, leaving only the two of us standing together under the emerging starlight. But as the night deepened, so did my resolve. I don't know who is responsible for this, I said, my voice firm yet calm, but they are about to learn the consequences of challenging a true dragon. And when the time comes... I turned my gaze back to the horizon, a faint smirk playing on my lips. The void dragon will show them exactly what that means. Chloe's embrace tightened slightly, her head resting against my chest as she whispered, whatever comes, we will face it together. You are not alone in this. Wrapping an arm around her, I held her close, drawing strength from her presence. The winds of change were upon us, and I could feel the storm brewing on the horizon. But I knew that no challenge, no matter how great, could stand against us. This was just the beginning.